Hello and welcome back. And in this video, we're going to be talking about property wrappers in Swift. So property wrappers were introduced in Swift 5.1, that was WWDC 19. And they play a big part in Swift UI, which is why I thought we should actually explore them. So property wrappers provide a way to reduce the amount of duplicated code which is involved in writing computed properties or getters or setters for variables to validate or transform their values before storing them in a class or struct. Now let's understand the problem property wrappers try to solve a little bit better. Okay, so imagine that we have a DevTechie course app and we want to represent the course model itself in terms of a class or a struct. So let's go ahead and create a struct course. Okay, DevTechie course. Okay, now this course has name of type string and it has author of type string. Now both of them have default initialization, default value initialized with the empty string. Okay, so once again, two properties, name and author. While storing the value of these properties, we want to make sure that our course name and the author name are capitalized. So basically, whenever we are storing, we want to capitalize them. So in order to put that validation in place, we will make these properties private and provide a getter setter for these properties. And then for the users, they're going to access these properties using those getter setters. And for private variables, we will actually hold the values and store the values in them after capitalization is applied. Okay, so for private variable, what we're going to do is we're going to rename these into underscore and turn them into private. Okay, and for each property, we're going to create a computed property, which is going to be the external face for the property, for this class, for this struct. So we're going to have a name, which is going to have a get, which is going to simply return underscore name. And for the setter, we're going to have a set, which is going to take the name and apply the new value dot capitalized to that. Okay, so new value dot capitalized is going to be applied and saved inside the name. We're going to do something similar to author. Once again, there's going to be a get, which is going to get underscore author, and set is going to be underscore author is equal to new value dot capitalized. Okay, so now when the course's name and author's name is set, then we capitalize those values before storing them into the private variable. So for this example, we can actually create a course. So I'm going to use onAppear here, and we're going to create a variable for course. Okay, and we're going to say course dot name is equal to machine learning. Okay, course dot author is going to be DevTechie, like that. Okay, now when we are accessing, so this is basically we are setting these. Okay, and we are setting these using setter. Now we are going to try to access these, so we're going to say course dot name by course dot author. Okay, so if we run this in our console, what we should get is basically machine learning by DevTechie. So as you can see, these have been capitalized for us, right? So we have provided lowercase and it's been capitalized for us. Okay, so this is how we are actually sort of like, putting these validations in place. Now we only had two properties in this case, and for both properties we pretty much did the same thing. We actually, while storing, we capitalize those values. But imagine if you had 10 or 20 properties of the type. Now in that case, we'll find ourselves repeating 10 or 20 times, however many properties there are, and however many properties we can actually try to validate. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of code repetition. So property wrappers can save us from this whole repetition. So property wrappers are declared using add property wrapper directive. Okay, so we're going to create our first property wrapper here. So we're going to first decorate this with property wrapper. Okay, and we're going to create a struct. We're going to name this DT capital case. Okay, now we're going to have a private value of type string. Okay, and for property wrap, for any struct to be a property wrapper, the only thing that's required to have a wrapped value property. So we're going to create a computer property wrapped value, which is going to be of type string. We're going to put the get here and set. And while setting, we're going to say value is equal to new value dot capitalize, the same thing that we have done right here. Okay, now for the init, we're going to take wrapped value, which is initial value, and we're going to say self dot wrapped value is equal to the initial value that's been supplied. Okay, so this is our property wrapper. Once we have created this property wrapper, we can go back to our course and basically update that. So now we no longer need these extra computer properties. Okay, and we can actually change these names back to name and author, and instead of private, we're going to decorate them with at DT capital case. This is our own property wrapper that we have created. Now everything else should work as is because we have not changed much. We have changed only in the model itself, and that should not affect basically our object in any way, but it should work the way it was working earlier. Like you can see, we are supplying machine learning here and DevTechie here, and we are getting capital case for machine learning and DevTechie. Okay, so that's what property wrappers do to you. Like, they are actually an easy way to compile your repeated code into a struct that can be used and reused with a simple decoration of these properties. Now, you must have seen all these while using SwiftUI, and new property wrappers have been introduced, ever since SwiftUI came into picture. So you have state object, published, and various others. Essentially, internally, this is how they are being created to better utilize the code that can be used with less of a repetition. All right, so with that, we have reached the end of this video. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in another video. Thank you.